Hello and welcome to oves.net. Today I have another Commodore 64 and of course another Commodore 64 video. This one is black screen and yeah, let's take a look at it. So for those of you who follow my channel, you know that this is not the first Commodore machine I have, and it will not be the last one, I guess, because Commodore 64 is of course my favorite 8-bit machine. And this one is a Commodore 64C and it says made in Hong Kong. I got this machine from a local seller. Yeah, I paid for it, but not a lot, and it is a little bit dirty. It has some writing, old lathe, probably some owner before. Has some tape here, and that is to hold a key that's loose. So I have to fix that. It came with a power supply and some other equipment like floppy drive and cassette deck and a bunch of tapes. This power supply, I already tested it recently, and it gives out the proper voltages, so I'm gonna use that one. However, when I tested the machine, when I got it, it had a black screen, and it looks like it was a little bit bad contact at the power contact, because if I wiggle the contact, the power went off and on. And now let me just turn it on, see what happens. Yeah, as you can see, it's a black screen, but there is a video signal, and all right, there's something. There's not much else to do than to open up this machine and take a look inside, so let's get right to it. Okay, it's quite dirty as expected, a lot of dust and shit, so what's this? So remove the keyboard, get it out of the way. To access the motherboard, you need to remove this shield, and yeah, I think it has at least 7 screws, or at least 5. Some versions has the shield over the whole board, but this one is cut around here. It's, yeah, it varies. So this is the motherboard, and copyright 86, and it's a 250/466 board. A lot of dust and shit, so this needs a good cleaning, and seems to have been getting some abuse. There's some plastic part. So what do we see on this board? Nothing much except dirt, and yeah, everything looks to be in good condition actually, so I think I'll just power it up and start measuring some voltages. Alright, I have turned the machine on, and I'm gonna measure on the voltage regulators, and there's actually a good 5 volts there, and on this regulator there is 12 volts and 21.4 volts. Also interesting is to measure if we have 5 volts across the board over to the cassette port, and Yeah, there's 4.9, so everything seems to be good there. The only chips that are socketed is the VIC-2 and the SID chip. And anyway, the next step would be to run the dead test cartridge, which I have here, and yeah, just gonna insert that and see if we get anything on the screen. So the dead test cartridge give no clue to what's wrong with this machine. Still black. I'm gonna take out the SID chip and just reseat it again, just to see if it has an effect. Might be. The next obvious thing would be to replace the VIC-2 with a known good one, which is this one, which has this is actually a ceramic one with gold contacts, a quite nice chip actually. So that did not give any better results, so but it was worth a try at least. So a black screen on a Commodore 64 might be caused of different things. It could be the CPU or the RAM. That's the most obvious. And well, before I do anything else, I'm gonna clean this board and the case and everything. I don't want to mess around with all this old shit. To clean the case, I use this GIF Universal. It's a kind of window cleaner, and I spray it all over the case and then let it work for a few minutes. A little gentle rubbing should remove most of the dirt. Anyway, I pulled out the RAM chips and the CPU from one of my working Commodore 64s, and yeah, let's see what happens now. Okay, there is life. Excellent. However, as you can see, the picture is a bit scrambled. I have never seen that kind of failure before, so yeah, so this needs a little bit more of hunting to figure out what's wrong. I have inserted the diagnostics cartridge and I'm gonna run some tests. Unfortunately, both the RAM chips and the CPU were bad, so and I don't have any spares currently, so I have to lend from another machine. Alright, the diagnostics cartridge not looking happy. So video issues like that might come from the VIC-2 chip, of course, and I have a spare one here, and yeah, just gonna test this one. Alright, so it's definitely better, but still, alright, there it is, stable. But a lot of bad things. Maybe it crashed. And now I'm testing with yet another VIC-2 chip that is working and turning on. Yeah, so there's still the same issue, so that indicates that this problem is not from this VIC-2 chip. Alright, so we know that the RAM chips are okay, CPU is executing code, VIC chip is working, the ROM chips are probably okay too. So what can be the matter with this machine then? If you go to this page, the pictorial C64 fault guide, there's a bunch of screenshots of most common failures on the Commodore 64, and I have been looking through this now, and this one here seems to be similar to what I see on this machine, and it is listed under the PLA. And if you click into the screenshot, you see a little bit more information of what can be wrong. The PLA chip is this one here, and it is known for failing on many Commodore 64s, and there's really not many left to find as used ones. So I actually have one replacement here. This is a Plankton PLA. Time to desolder the PLA. Another chip desoldering session, always fun. Note. Alright, desoldering done. Let's see if this one actually got loose. Some chips on these old boards can be very stubborn, so this one is no exception. I just use a screwdriver and just push every pin in the... Alright, so we need to dig a little bit deeper now. I'm running the dead test cartridge now, and it is actually blinking once. So I actually tweeted this picture of the video output and asked people what they thought might be responsible for this fault, and I got a lot of different replies. Most of them actually suggested that it was the character ROM, which is this chip. Or is it this? I don't remember. This is the kernel. So one of these two are the character ROM, and the other suggestion was that it might have to do with some logic with regarding to the RAM, which is I believe this chip here is one of those, or this one. And actually, when I look at this fault guide, I see U26 mentioned here, and it has pretty similar pictures, so at least two of those are what I see on my machine. So my next step is gonna replace that one. So here is U26, and it's an 74 LS373, and yeah, I'm desoldering this one and putting it into a socket. That's a new socket for U26, and I'm putting the original chip back in just to see that it functions the same way before I swap it with a new one. I know I have the same symptom as before, so no changes there, but let me try with a brand new chip. So this is a brand new 74 LS373, and I'm gonna put that one in. Nah, still the same error, so that was a little dead end too. Next I'm gonna replace the character ROM, which was the other suggestion if I can find a spare. So I'm actually really struggling with this one. It either shows scrambled screen or completely black, and if I run the dead test, now it blinks 1 time, and other times it can blink 6 times. So six times indicates memory issues, but there are no problem with those 2 memory chips. I have tested them. Also, I have socketed all the chips because I want to have a board with. So now it shows a screen like this, and you can see the basic is working. Character ROM is okay. I have tested with another chip that is from a working machine, so nothing to do with that. So I already did a lot. I didn't film everything. I even replaced the 2 voltage regulators with the brand new ones in case some issue with those, but those are okay too. So my next step is actually to try and figure out if something is wrong with the signals on the board, and I have this Pico scope, which is PC-based oscilloscope. So I'm gonna measure and see if I can figure something out. So to configure the scope and test if the resolution and everything is okay, I'm just testing the clock input on the CPU, and this should look like this. So that's a nice clock signal, 1 megahertz. So now I'm gonna probe the address lines on the memory chips, see if the activity looks normal, and here's A0. Thing is, it looks kind of low, just over 3 volts. A1. That was one of the memory chip. Now I am probing the other one, see if looks okay, and it does. Strange thing, if I accidentally short 2 address lines on the memory chip, that makes the computer hang, and now the picture is crystal clear, and so that's really strange. So I don't know if this is normal, but some of the signals are actually 4 volts, and the input voltage is actually almost 5 on VCC. So but on the address lines it's just above 3 volts, 3.5. So I'm not sure if that's normal or not. I'm gonna check with another computer. This is another Commodore 64 that's actually working, and I actually inserted the same 2 memory chips, and so I'm gonna probe this one, see if there's anything different about everything. So yeah. So I'm probing some of the address lines on this machine, and it is hovering around 5 volts, just below. So here's a clear signal from address line 7 on the memory chip, and as you can see it's a very good signal, almost 5 volts. So I did a little more research and looked at the schematics and things, and the wick chip are powered by this 5 volt regulator, and it actually has 5 volts in. However, the CPU and other chips only have about 4.7 volts on VCC, and that's a bit too low. And I actually talked to a friend that is an electronics guy, and he says that that's too low. The power supply gives out exactly 5 volts, and yeah, and I also tested with another power supply. So that means that there are some voltage drop from the power contact or from the power switch. And actually, when I when I touch the power contact, the picture actually changes. So maybe that's an easy solution, that it's actually a bad connection. I have already reflown the soldering points on those two, the contact and the power switch. So I try to clean the power switch a bit more, and yeah, if that doesn't help, I'm gonna replace them with other ones. Actually, when I measure the voltage on the power contact, it is only around 4.87. So I actually wonder if this power supply is giving out the promised 5 volts. So I'm gonna check with another one. This is a brick from Commodore, and not this fancy modern one. So let's see what this one gives out. Alright, it's 5.1. That's kind of a difference. And now I actually get 5.067 volts, and that's more normal, but the machine still doesn't work. It actually looks like this now, and yeah, I'm thinking about giving up. I need to finish this video and call it perhaps part 1. So everything seems to be working just fine on this machine. I have socketed all the chips except for the VIC, which already had a socket, and in desperation I'm gonna desolder this socket and check if it's okay underneath. The new socket is in, and yeah, let's test. No, still the same problem. Anyway, that's it for this part of this video. I'm still gonna try to fix this. However, I think I need some help from the community. So if anyone has any ideas of what this could be, then contact me. So just to summarize, initially this machine had a black screen, and I replaced the RAM chips because they were bad and got very hot. Then I changed the CPU, and it was actually also bad, so a new CPU gave a picture but scrambled one. Then I put every chip in sockets and tested all of them with different ones, and they all work. Character ROM is working. I have checked in another machine. WIC is working. I have checked with another WIC chip. It gives the same error, but it might be something related to the WIC. I also changed all these control logic for the bus and the RAM, and yeah, with brand new chips actually, and still the same issue. I have changed the voltage regulators also. So that's it for this video. If you want to help me figure out what's wrong with this machine, I am happy to get advice in the comments below, or you can comment on my Facebook page. Yeah. So maybe I'll get lucky in the next episode. Thanks, bye bye.